Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mysteries Explained with Becky and Will. Dave is on vacation, so he ditched us today, but Will is here, somewhat.
Hello. And Dave's always on vacation.
That's not surprising, huh? Dave's always gone, huh? Mentally.
Yep, pretty much.
He can't defend himself, so we can completely pick on him today. But I say that you're somewhat here because you're kind of suffering from a concussion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a little bit.
a little bit. Will had a lovely little accident on Tuesday, and he's suffering. He has 2 staples in his head, trying to hold his head together.
It's still up there.
It's still up there, being held together by a couple staples. There we go, huh?
Oh, Frankenhead.
But you've been off work. You're going back tomorrow.
Yep.
Hopefully you'll do okay.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I have a feeling you'll probably be coming home early. Because you're still not all there, babe.
Never was.
Well, I was being nice and not saying that, but okay. I was at least trying to be nice to you for once. And you did it to yourself, so.
Because you're never nice.
I am too. I'm very nice. So last week we had to cancel the show at last minute.
Yeah, you and technology don't mix.
Technology I hate. I really do. But, yeah, we could not get Skype and my laptop in general to work. At first I thought it was Skype and I was going to blame Skype again, but then it ended up just being my laptop in general. We had to run pretty much every single test there is known to man on my laptop. And it's still kind of slow, but it's working. So we're not going to complain. It's working. We're good.
She says that now, but she still complains.
Well, I, do complain when I have to put up to, slow computers. Put up with slow computers. It's not fun. Not fun at all.
Welcome to the 21st century.
Yeah, they're supposed to be helpful, but yet they drive us crazy and insane. So, but tonight we are going to have a guest come on a little bit earlier because we are going to end the show a little bit earlier than normal. We're going to go off air at 9:30 p.m. Eastern instead of 10. Basically because we've had a rough week and a half, and Will is still not completely up to speed as he should be. So we're going to end the show a little bit early, so we're going to bring on our guest a little bit earlier tonight, too. He owns a ghost tour company like we do, babe.
Sweet.
Yeah, so we can find out about his ghost tour and maybe get some hints on some things to do for ours. You never know. New ideas. That's why I like taking other people's ghost tours. It gives us ideas.
That's fine.
That's fine.
That's fine.
You always can, pick other people's brains for, new ideas and all that lovely stuff. Okay, so what do we got going on with everything in general so we can make our announcements now?
We got interviews tomorrow.
Oh, yes. If you're interested in being part of our team, or the Tucson Ghost Society, or if you're interested in working for our ghost tours, we're having interviews tomorrow night at 7 p.m. You need to get a hold of us to let us know you're coming, and we'll give you the details of where they're at, but they are at 7 p.m. tomorrow night. So anyone in the Tucson area interested in that, you can get a hold of us via Facebook or website or any of that information. You can basically find us anywhere. We're not hard to find. Right? We're pretty easy to find when it comes to social media.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. And so that's going on. And then Saturday we have a private investigation. Got a little bit of a drive out there. I don't know if you're going to feel like driving. We might have to have somebody else do the driving.
No, that's kind of nice having you drive.
Yeah. But I don't want to make that drive. It's like an hour and a half away. And we're going to be out there late, so that's late night driving, and I don't like to drive at night.
Oh, do you hear the fiddle?
Yes, I hear the fiddle. I don't like driving at night. That's like one of my worst things. I hate driving at night. So we might have to have someone else drive. So interviews Friday night, private investigations Saturday night. We got a nice little drive. We're going to be acting like we're going to California because we got to take I-8 out.
Say what?
Yeah, we have to take I-8 to get to this investigation.
Jesus, woman.
I know. That's what I'm telling you. It's a nice long drive. Maybe we'll just go to California.
Wake me when we get there.
Maybe I'll just skip the investigation and go to California. I only wish. That would be fun. And then next week, our guest is from Scotland.
Oi.
Yeah, we're going across the seas.
Hop in the pond.
Yeah. We're going to have a guest next week from Scotland, and then we got a lot going on this month, actually. We have 3 investigations total this month so far set up. We only have 1 free weekend. I know, you love that, don't you?
Not really, no, I don't.
So, yeah, we're already getting booked for September, too. Got things going on. That's when we're supposed to be working with O Tucson again. And then in October, we got the Spirits for Spirits event with Borderlands Brewery.
Hold on now.
What?
We're
Hold
not
on.
just working with Old Tucson, we're working with iHeartRadio also.
Yes, there'll be iHeartRadio and O Tucson.
Which also airs us.
Yes. Yes, we are found on iHeartRadio. And we're going to be working with, I guess, 2 of their major DJs and spending the entire night out at Old Tucson. No sleep that night. We were ghost hunting the entire night. But the last time we were out there, I didn't want to leave anyway.
You could have sent everybody else home.
And we drove them.
No, they drove themselves.
Oh, yeah, they did drive themselves. I forgot about that. I thought we drove them. Yeah, we could have sent them all home and we could have stayed. Why didn't we do that?
Because you don't think.
Thanks a lot. I love you, too.
You're welcome.
But Old Tucson was a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to it just being you and me and these 2 DJs, whoever they may be, spending the entire night out there. And we're going to have access to more places than we did last time.
Like John Wayne's Suite.
Yeah, I think they're going to let us in to where John Wayne used to stay. And one of their haunted locations that they didn't open up. Or attractions, I should say, not locations. So it should be really cool. Looking forward to it. It'll be really fun. But yeah, that's in September. That's not a public event, though. That will be aired to the public, but the public can't come to that. But in October, the Spirits with Spirits is going to be a public event, and people can actually buy the tickets online right now at TucsonGhostTour.com for that one.
And if they don't see spirits, they get to drink lots of spirits.
Yeah, so no matter what, they're getting spirits, guaranteed. So, that's a good one. No matter what, they're getting spirits on that
And you
one.
never know, if you drink enough spirits, you'll see spirits.
True. Very, very true. Who knows what you'll be seeing if you drink too much. The room's spinning, but you're getting that anyway without even drinking.
Shush, that's my secret.
That's what happens when you hit your head really hard.
Well, I told everybody it's a cheap shot from behind from you.
Hey, that's not nice. That is so wrong. I do not abuse you. Not in that way, anyway.
Oh.
We'll just leave it at that, right? And then we also have, we're working with some other people, but things aren't confirmed, so I can't say anything there because I need to figure out what's going on with all these people. But then in May, we do have center stage events coming out.
Yep.
And they're bringing Grant, yay, and Dana and Greg, so it's going to be really cool. And they're doing that thing at Slaughterhouse. You cannot buy the tickets on our website, but you can find all the information about it on our website and where to go to buy the tickets. But it's basically centerstageevents.com, and it's SENTER. So I like to point that out. so people aren't putting like center CENT.
You'd make it a challenge for them.
Well, what fun is that? Then they might get frustrated. That's not fun.
It'd be fun to watch.
It'd be fun to watch. Yeah, there'd be like me last week with the computer. I was about ready to throw it out the freaking door. It's not
The
fun.
window's right there.
Yeah, I know.
Be shorter distance.
I know, but we got an air conditioning unit in the window now. So it's a little bit tougher. Because now it has to go through like 2 things of glass instead of just 1.
Well, I'd hope you'd open the window first.
Now I have to throw it through the glass.
Make more work for me.
Yep. Of course. We have to do that. All right. So I am going to see how well my computer wants to work today. Maybe. Maybe not. Why aren't things opening for me? I swear. What's going on, Will?
Get your fingers off of it.
There it goes. I am just doing my best here to,
Let technology win.
Yep, apparently so. All right, we're going to add our guest, hopefully. It seems weird seeing Dave included on this and Dave's not there.
This is Grymm.
Hello, welcome to Mysteries Explained with Becky and Will. How are you doing tonight?
I am doing well. How about yourself?
Doing great, thank you. Will's a little out of it tonight. He's suffered a concussion, so we're trying to make him aware of things right now.
Oh, good.
Concussions
good.
are no fun.
No, like he said earlier, the floor was, the concrete was a little bit harder than his head, so.
That's no fun.
No, it's not. So for all of our listeners, you want to tell everyone who you are and what it is that you do?
Well, my name is Grymm Dupp, co-owner of Twisted History Tours out of Washington State, and a storyteller that specializes in tales of death, debauchery, murder, crime, prostitution, and mayhem.
Oh, cool.
That's a pretty well-rounded resume.
I think so.
Wow. So how long have you been doing this?
The storytelling portion I've been doing for, probably about 15 years or so. But we transitioned into a ghost tour company here in Port Townsend, Washington, 5 years ago, when I decided I was tired of being a pedal taxi driver. I was getting too old to run a pedal taxi, so
Wow.
we turned my passion into storytelling into a business.
Very cool. Now, your tours, how exactly do your tours work?
Well, we have several different offerings. For the city of Port Townsend, we actually have family-friendly tours. They're called Family-Friendly Phantoms, which is an hour-long tour of our downtown section of Port Townsend, where we still hit on some of the tales of death and debauchery, but we leave out some of the gorier details. And then as the sun goes down, we transition into what's called the Downtown Dare, which is an hour-and-a-half walking tour of the hot spots of Port Townsend where different crimes took place in its infamous past. When you consider the town was averaging a murder a week in the 1890s, there's a lot of stories to tell.
Wow.
So your walking tours are more geared towards murders.
More geared towards, murders and suicide, and then the purported hauntings that supposedly take place at these locations.
Oh, okay.
So we work with several of the hotels that have been used as former brothels in the past. We tour those hotels as well as some of the drinking establishments and even a few of the retail stores in town that used to be boarding houses or are used as taverns and whatnot from Port Townsend's past.
Oh, cool. So do you actually get to go inside some of the buildings then, or do you stand out?
During the normal business hours of Port Townsend businesses, we get to go into some of the businesses, and then the hotels I'm authorized to go into up until about 9 o'clock at night. We can tour people through the hotels.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. And what's beautiful about Port Townsend is its downtown section, downtown core where we do the Downtown Dare, is a registered historic district. 90% of the buildings downtown were built in the 1880s, and they're still in perfect condition today because of the drive to rehabilitate our downtown over the last several years. So it's got a very Victorian maritime feel to it as you're walking through the city. And then when you get to go inside the hotels and tour the rooms and all that, many of the hotels in town are still set up in that Victorian era fashion, complete with the antiques and the bureaus and the mirrors and just the furnishings themselves. The only thing they've changed over the years is the mattresses.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
You definitely got my interest there because I love that type of era. I love the, Victorian style things. And I keep wanting to get like those old fashioned Victorian couches in my house, but I know with kids and dogs, they would be destroyed. But
yeah, that's how it is in our place too. Is most of our collection is in the garage until the dog is no longer willing to jump up on furniture.
Yeah, we have a puppy that's still like not even 6 months old, and she loves to chew on things. So,
yep.
Yeah, no expensive furniture until, that's all taken care of.
And the cats have to learn not to scratch things.
See, wouldn't it be so nice to not have kids and animals now?
We can fix it. That is.
Well, I don't know. I've got 3 older kids that are in college or past college, and then an 8-year-old daughter. So I still have a ways to go.
Yep, we have an 8-year-old too. So, well, no, 7-year-old. She's gonna be turning 8. But yeah, we know.
The beauty behind with my 8-year-old.
Yeah, we love the animals.
My 8-year-old is convinced that she is going to be taking over Twisted History tours when she's 15. So at least we have that going for us.
Yeah, our oldest has no interest in taking anything over. So.
Yeah, unfortunately. Well, she's been starting to do some of the paranormal investigations with us, but
that's going to go.
Yeah,
that's about the only time I can get my older kids involved. Really, is when we're doing an investigation somewhere.
Yeah. Now, some of the sites that are on your tour, have you actually investigated them?
We've investigated several of the locations. The Manresa Castle, a couple of the retail stores downtown have given us access for overnight stays while we do investigations. We're getting ready to do one at the Palace Hotel, which is out of all of the stops, out of all the cities that we operate out of, that's actually my favorite one because it still really does hold its heritage, its past. So we're here in October. We've rented the entire hotel and we're doing a paranormal lockdown of the building, and we're going to do a 3-day investigation in there. Well, wow. 3 nights investigation, 3 days of eating and drinking.
Well, I'm down for all of that.
There you go.
Yeah, we were supposed to do an investigation one time, and I think there ended up being more drinking than investigating, so we didn't actually investigate.
That does happen at the time.
That was more of a going away party anyway.
Yeah.
Well, then you had a
going away party, but we decided to stay at a haunted location, and we said, screw the, investigating, let's have the party instead. So
that could always be a fun thing.
Yeah, Will still had a paranormal experience though, but he was the only one. And he's the most skeptic of all of us, so that's what really kind of made us go, what?
Wow. See, that's the thing with me is we've been doing investigations now for pushing 15 years, and I am the hardest one to convince that what has been experienced is true paranormal. But there are times when I have to scratch my head and go, okay, you got me there.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing with Will is he's the team skeptic, so you have to convince him of things.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
And he does not like cats. He's not a cat person. He doesn't hate them, but he's not a cat person. And the hotel we had stayed at, one of the haunts, they have several, but one of them is a ghost cat.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he ended up seeing, was the ghost cat. I'm like, okay, so you got the skeptic and the person that's not a cat person seeing the ghost cat, and none of us did.
That was the spirit world saying, see?
It's probably because you guys go out there and want to see it, and I go out there just to debunk it all and say, hey, that ain't happening.
I don't know, maybe, but I just found it very ironic that you were the only one to have the experiences that weekend. And it was with a cat. Of all things, with a cat.
Yeah, I think that's the universe saying, maybe you should open your mind a little.
Either that or it's the universe saying, see, suckers, you tried too hard.
There you go. That's funny. No, another thing that we do is, or my sideline is, I do historic preservation on houses and buildings that date to that era. So it gives me an opportunity to be inside and on top of, around, underneath these wonderful buildings and homes here in Port Townsend, and really has allowed me to expand my horizon of knowledge as far as what this town truly was like back in the Victorian era.
Wow, that is so cool. I would just love to just step foot in buildings like that.
It's amazing the way they used to build things back then.
Oh, I know. When I'm working on some of these buildings, there's one that we're doing a complete redo of on the exterior, bringing it back to 100% blueprint original as much as possible, and trying to tear things down and rebuild them the way they did it back then is almost impossible. They built these buildings to last.
Yeah, they didn't use like super glue.
They weren't what you call matchbook houses nowadays.
Yes, exactly. I know the Clap building in downtown Port Townsend, the entire front of it, it's a 4-story building, and the entire front's made out of cast iron.
Wow.
Yep. Beautiful scroll work on it, though. It's an awesome building.
That's cool, though. I would love that. That would be so cool. So you said that you work with several different cities, right?
Yes, we work mainly out of Port Townsend, Washington. Over the last 5 years, our business has grown to a point that I've had to give up what some of my extended family called my real job, and focus exclusively on the overall dream of what we have for Twisted History Tours. So we've started an expansion move to where we're now offering tours on weekends in different cities around us, like Astoria, Oregon, or Port Angeles, Washington. We're getting ready to start in on Deadwood, South Dakota. That was supposed to be this year, but, well, life happens sometimes. So we're actually going to be firing that up next year. But our overall goal is to be in 19 to 20 different cities by the end of 2019.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
We'll see. It was a matter of, if we're going to do this, we're going to go all out. So that's our plan anyway.
Right. Wow. That's really cool, though.
Yep. I know making the leap to full-time tour guide and business owner like this was a little bit of a scary thing. When 2 years ago, we were only averaging 10 to 15 people a week going through our tours. And then last year we had a banner year, and we toured 3,900 people through town and in that season. And this year we're on par to hit about 5,000 people running through our town, taking our Twisted History tours. So,
wow,
it was definitely worth making the leap.
Yeah. So those cities that you're expanding in, are they, close by to you, I'm guessing?
One of them is fairly close. It's only about 30 minutes away, but Astoria, Oregon, that one's about 4 hours from us. and then Deadwood, South Dakota is a 2-way drive or 2-day drive.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you're really like reaching out there and expanding then.
Yeah, we definitely are. We're trying to find the old towns that have a really amazing history, but are kind of forgotten as far as the tourism goes. They don't get a huge push towards that past that they were famous for.
Right.
Deadwood, South Dakota is a really famous town, has really steeped in history and debauchery, but nobody's really capitalized on keeping that history alive. So that's Gussie and I. That's what we want to really do, is keep those stories alive as much as possible.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. Yeah, when you said that you were in other cities, I'm like thinking maybe they were all kind of close by to you, but do you actually go out and check out these places beforehand then?
That was what we started doing. Is there's been towns that have always been on my list of places I love to visit. So that's where we drew off of first. But what we're finding now is there's cities all around us that are requesting us to come in and open up Twisted History in their towns as well. So we're in those towns, we're actually going in completely blind, having no clue what their history is like. So we're spending a year studying them up. I've got researchers that are scouring the internet and newspaper archives, history museums to those towns. And from there, we'll develop stories and hopefully a viable business for that, that we can operate out of those towns.
Well, you're doing something right when you have cities contacting you.
Yep, that's true. That was kind of a nice surprise when I get a phone call from the city of Port Angeles saying, "Hey, you want to do this up here?"
Yeah, that's really awesome to have, your company get known like that and people wanting you there.
Yeah. Yeah, we had no idea that our little hobby would turn into something that is so much fun. We're so privileged that we've been able to turn this into a means of not only making a living, but just the number of people that we meet and the interactions that we have, the team that we've built around us. They're all so much part of our family that it really makes me proud when I look back and see where we're at now.
Yeah, that is awesome. We need to do stuff like that.
We do stuff like that. So this all happened over the course of the last 5 years?
Yep.
That's actually remarkable.
We were living in Michigan. I grew up in the town that we're in now, Port Townsend. Kind of grew up here, but we were living in Michigan for about 15 years, and the economy was just so bad that I decided it was time to come back home. So packed my wife up and said, "We're moving." And she had never been out here before, and she goes, "Well, what are we going to do?" And I says, "I don't know. We'll figure it out when I get there. But it can't be worse than what we're doing now as far as the economy goes." So we came out here. First thing I did is bought a pedal taxi, a little pedicab, a little rickshaw thing, and turned it into a Victorian steampunk-looking experience that people can ride through town and listen to stories of our community. And it just got too popular for having just one little pedal taxi and one guy running people around town all day long. So it transitioned into walking tours. And now I've got 6 tour guides in Port Townsend alone. So.
Oh, wow. That is awesome.
Yep. So I know, like I said, I feel really privileged that we've been able to accomplish this.
That's really cool, though. And the fact that you have so many of those historical Victorian buildings, especially. Oh, I would just kill for something like that. We don't have that in Tucson.
No, we tend to demolish buildings and then put something new in its place.
Yep.
Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And even the old buildings, they're not Victorian, though. I'm sorry, they're not.
Yeah. Well, Port Townsend was very unique in the respect that when we went through our boom years of the late 1880s into the early 1890s, there's a massive construction push, and that's basically when our town was created. But then the economy collapsed shortly afterwards, and there was just no money here in this community. In fact, most of the buildings sat vacant until the 1970s. So that's where we got lucky, is there was no money to tear the buildings down even. So when the money started coming back into our community and the tourism started taking off, it was set in stone. No, the buildings were here. Let's maximize on it. So we've got over 300 Victorian era houses in our town that are all most all of them are easily walkable. And then our downtown is only 8 blocks long, but it's got a huge amount of Victorian style buildings in it.
Wow. See, that's what I love. I love those type of buildings.
Oh, I know.
I know. I wish we had them here in Tucson. I would go insane. We have the old Spanish style things out here.
When I was deciding to leave Michigan, one of my options was to move back to Arizona, and I went, well, I don't know of any place that has really old Victorian style architecture, so Arizona's out.
Not in Arizona. You have a lot of history out here, but not those Victorian style homes that I love.
Yeah, I was born in Yuma.
Oh, okay.
And then I spent almost 2 years in Lake Havasu. Not too long, well, about 20 years ago. So I was tempted to move back to that region, and then no. Decided it was too hot.
Yes, it can be very hot during the summers.
Yep.
It's just hot all year round.
No, not all year round. We have 2 months where we're actually cold.
Oh, I've had people tell me when I told them I used to live there that, well, at least it's a dry heat. And I always have the same response. So is my oven. You don't see me sticking my head in there.
Yeah, but that dry heat only goes so far, because once monsoon hits, the humidity sucks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. And you guys just went through some of that here not too long ago, didn't you?
And we're still going through it, actually. But the temperatures aren't 111, luckily. We got up to, I think it was 112 one day during the monsoons, and it was torture.
With 90% humidity.
So, but yeah, the summers really are bad out here, which is why I always like to try to take a summer trip outside of Arizona.
Well, next summer, you need to try out the Pacific Northwest.
Summers are...
You definitely need to try the Pacific Northwest. Port Townsend averages 16 inches of rain a year, average yearly temperature of 68. It only froze once this last winter. It hit 80 once so far this year.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Yeah, we went up to San Francisco this summer, and
yeah, I froze.
She froze by the pier.
Yeah. I'm so used to the heat that anything below 70, I freeze. So
yeah, I know that.
I can't take.
I understand. 15 years in Detroit area where summers were hot and muggy and winters were frozen. When I moved out here, it took me about 3 years to acclimate.
Yeah, I know. I'm originally from Ohio, so I was born and raised in Toledo, actually.
Oh, my wife was born and raised in Elmore.
Okay. Yeah, so I used to survive winters and summers and all that out there, but now, I couldn't do it.
Nope.
I know I couldn't. I would freeze.
You couldn't get me to move back there for all the money in the world.
Yeah. Well, I love Toledo, for their, history and their entertainment and things like that. And the house I grew up in Toledo was built in the 1880s, I believe it was. So I lived in an old-fashioned house. I had the old-fashioned tubs and all that stuff, which is why I think I love that type of thing now, is because I was raised in an old house.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, you don't really find that out here, but I couldn't You couldn't pay me enough to move back there. I still have family and friends out there, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't handle the weather.
My oldest kids still live in Michigan, and I'm like, nope. I'll buy you a ticket. You can come here. I'm not going that way.
Yeah, we went back a couple years ago during the summer for a vacation. The first time I'd been back in probably about 8 years. And it was interesting. It was fun and interesting. The heat out there is definitely different than the heat out here.
Yep.
And the summer rain, that was a lot of fun. As soon as it rains, we got freezing cold.
So you do tours in Tucson?
Yes.
How long have you been doing that?
We've been doing this since 2013. So going on 5 years.
Yeah.
Well, I'm assuming you enjoy doing it.
For the most part. It has its ups and downs. You know, it's been a really rough start. You know, really rough.
It can be that way.
Tucson's not really known for is its
history in general.
Right.
It's known for. It's just the stories that go with it. And more people are into their technology than they are the history in the past and ghost stories.
Yeah.
We're combating that. We're turning our tours into mobile apps as well that people can buy. That way, if they don't want to have to interact with a human being, they can still take the tour and just stare at their phone.
Yep, like a lot of people like to do.
Yeah, because most of the people we get are usually from out of town.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I would say that is pushing 90% of our clientele is out of town, but we're also a tourist destination too, so that makes it easy.
Not during the summer. For some reason.
That's when everybody comes up here.
Yeah, people don't want to come beat, the 112 degrees for some reason.
I don't know why, though. It's the perfect place to work on a tan.
Yeah, and to burn.
Yeah.
Well, you got to do it moderately. Go out for 5 minutes, go back inside, go back out for another 5, flip over, go back inside.
And just accept the fact that you can't really take a cold shower.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, our cold showers are burning hot. Yeah, we don't get a lot of tourism during the summer. Now during the fall and winters, that's a different story.
Yeah. No, we're a full year-round tourist destination. Our community here in Port Townsend, we host a different festival every month of the year. All of them geared towards either the maritime industry or the Victorian era. So we have Christmas, Victorian Christmas, and we also do a Victorian festival, and we have a wooden boat festival that's huge. So we're very fortunate to have that draw of people that are already coming here.
All right.
But since we've started listing our tours and our events on Airbnb as an experience, that's really made a huge difference in our bookings as well. So,
now what is that?
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Oh, you've heard of Airbnb?
No.
Okay. Airbnb is a website that you can go to and type in the destination of the town that you want to go in, and it brings up all the homes that are listed as vacation rentals in that region. They're usually about half the cost of your average hotel, and it's usually you're getting the whole house or a portion of the house to yourselves for your stay. It's a really huge thing. So, but you can you have to look that up. It's Airbnb. It's pretty interesting. But we can also list our experiences on there so people can book their Airbnb, their bed and breakfast for their stay in Port Townsend, and then add on a ghost tour or a pub crawl or anything like that. Yeah. And that's made a huge difference in our growth this year.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I
Yeah.
never even heard of that, so that's interesting.
Yeah. 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 It's a little hard to manage sometimes, but it's worth it in the end.
Yeah, that's really cool, though. In fact, Will's looking that up right now.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah. It's,
the
like,
hardest things to do.
what was that?
Advertising's one of the hardest things to do for us.
Yeah, it is a difficult thing. Where we got lucky, or just, I don't know, or maybe the hotels have seen the advantage of it, is our hotels here in town offer guests 15% off their hotel stay if they show that they're taking one of our tours. We offer discounts if they can show they're staying at a hotel here in town or a bed and breakfast. So it's really the lodging accommodations that are really driving us right now.
Oh, that's cool, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, for us, like I said, during the summer, I think everyone suffers out here.
Yeah.
But here in a couple weeks, things will start picking back up again because we're a major college town. So the U of A will come back, and then in about 3 months, we're going to have snowbirds back. And so things start picking up. It's June, July, and August. That's our slowest months.
Okay.
Always so slow during that time.
Yeah,
Because like I said, people don't want to come at 112 degrees. I don't know why.
no, our slow months are December, January, and February, and then after that, we're pretty much 6 tours a day, 5 to 6 tours a day, almost every day of the week.
Oh, wow. See, we do really good in February. I've noticed that. February is a good month for us because that's one of our months that it's cooler and people, for some reason, want to do this for Valentine's Day. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's our hardest month.
Yeah. We get a lot of people like wanting to do the dates for Valentine's Day for this.
Yeah, let's go take a walk and have that for our Valentine's.
Hey, I would want to do a ghost tour for Valentine's, but that's just me. Yeah.
What we do for the month, but really for the Valentine week, is we have what's called the Hauntingly Romantic Getaway, where you get your hotel taken care of, your meals taken care of. You get 2 different ghost tours, one for downtown and one for uptown, and a movie pass for the local theater. So you get a whole weekend of twisted stuff. There's even champagne and chocolates in your room when you check in. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
I take it you work with a lot of the local hotels a lot then.
All but one of them.
Yeah.
All but one. We have an event coming up in November. It's called the Witches Grand Ball that we hold every year on the first Saturday in November. And typically we end up, I know there's 8 hotels here in town. Typically we fill them all up.
Oh, wow.
For that event. So the hotels are very, very generous, and they're pushing us because we work hard with them. I mean, in my way of thinking, the town is successful if all the businesses are successful, and if we can all work together in promoting one another and getting the word out to the average traveler, tourist coming through town, then we're doing good.
Right.
It's all about promoting other businesses.
See, we only really have like one hotel in our downtown area that's haunted, though. So the other ones are brand new, and we only have 2 hotels in general downtown, isn't it?
Well, it's going to be 3.
There's going to be 3 now.
Yeah, and it's not hard to make them haunted. You just got to push somebody out a window. Well, we were ashamed. We were ashamed do something to spike up business.
Now, in their downtown, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hotels in the downtown core, but all of them were built in the 1800s.
Wow.
newest one is 1889. But way the city ordinance works, though, is the business isn't allowed to go into downtown unless they're a local non-franchise. They have to be a family-owned, one-of-a-kind business. So we'll never have the Motel 6 in downtown Port Townsend. So everything is maintained in that historic heritage.
See, that's cool. See,
Yeah.
we did have a lot of hotels in our downtown, but they tore them down and they rebuilt and
Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to find new ways to bring business into the downtown economy, and if that means tearing down a historical building in the process, they're not going to blink an eye to do it.
Yeah. I see that happening like over in Seattle, very historic town, and their old town's getting tore up and nice big concrete and glass apartment high rises are going up.
yeah,
And I like to see that happen.
yeah. Sadly,
That's what our downtown is doing.
yeah,
Yeah. To me, that ruins the charm.
yeah, yeah. We have so many new buildings going in down there that it's all high rises now, and a lot of apartments, though, not hotels, but apartments.
Yeah.
They're
Oh, we
building
need
a lot of
hotels.
apartments.
Definitely have to have hotels.
Yeah, they only have. Well, the haunted one is Hotel Congress, and they used to have the Santa Rita, but they tore that down and built TEP there instead. And Santa Rita was one of the haunted ones.
Yeah, that I can see making it difficult to generate a haunted history tour.
Yeah, so ours basically, we actually talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Most of what's on our tour is what's still left over from when Tucson was originally built back then.
Right.
Which it's standing in front of the old buildings going, that used to be here. And showing pictures of, this is what it used to look like. But
Do you get people that say, "Man, I wish the old one was still here"?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of people that, they wish things would be preserved too, but unfortunately they're not.
Yeah.
And then,
Well,
it's hard, but
one of the things that we look for when we're expanding into a new city or opening up in a new city anyway, one of the things that we look at is the city ordinances, such as Astoria or Port Townsend. Port Angeles is getting on board with it, but the city ordinance here in Port Townsend is you can't tear down the old. You have to rebuild it.
yes.
It has. And when it gets rebuilt, it needs to go back to as close to original as possible. So the exteriors all stay vintage looking.
Right.
And that's what we look for in the towns that we go to.
They pretty much do that with the U of A area down here.
Right.
Just because of most of the history that comes with it. But even then, they're still not as strict about it.
Right. We still run into cases where somebody with enough money can get what they want.
Of course. Money talks.
Talks.
Yeah.
We've watched a couple of historic homes get tore down this year to be replaced by a monstrosity. So it still happens occasionally.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yep.
Those old historical buildings. They're nice. I like them.
Well, they carry so much history to them, so many stories. There's a hotel here in Port Townsend that used to be one of the first brothels. It's not a big hotel. It's got a restaurant downstairs and I think 5 rooms upstairs. But during some remodel work, doing some repairs, we noticed that the bricks were loose behind one of the beds inside the room. I wasn't on that job, but the bricks were pulled out. And what was behind it was a small void stuffed with letters written by prostitutes that knew they would never be able to mail them.
Oh, wow.
From the, up until 1930, I think was the newest one in there. And, that's a story.
Yeah.
That needs to be.
That's cool.
So photocopies were taken of all of them, and then the letters were put back in the wall, and the wall was sealed up tight.
Aw,
So those letters will be there for another 100 years.
that's cool. It's cool that they left them there. Most places would have taken it out and
Yeah.
done whatever with them, but
Put it under some glass.
yeah.
Yeah.
That and the older
Which would have been okay.
The older buildings are a lot more pleasing to look at. They give you something to think about.
Eye candy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, these new buildings, they all look alike. Especially out here in Tucson. It's like they build things and everything looks exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they build a new housing community and all the houses look the same.
Yep.
It's like, how do I know which house is mine? It looks just like the next door neighbors.
Well, up here on the peninsula, Jefferson County, where we're at, I mentioned that you can't build a business here unless it's a local family-owned type deal, no franchises. That encompasses our entire county, which is huge, which means that where we're at, we will never have a Walmart, a Kmart, any of that. We have a Safeway and a Kroger, and that's it. And that's because they were grandfathered in. So it really is a community effort to preserve the history. It really does take the entire village to get behind that concept.
Right. See, but that's really cool though, because I know when we travel and we do things, I love going into those like locally owned businesses because you find things there that you don't find at your Walmart and Kmart or whatever. And I love it. Some of those like old fashioned, candy stores or those, old fashioned mom and pop shops. They have the coolest things. And I miss stores like that. We don't have that out here.
No. That's unfortunate. I think all towns should keep that old stuff alive.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
but the flip side of that is my oldest kids, they don't have a real desire to live here because there isn't a Walmart.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, there's a trade-off.
Yeah. Because everyone, goes to that Walmart and goes to that. But
Yep.
I know when we go on vacations and stuff, if we go through small towns, that's like one of my things to do is I like to get out and look in all those shops or antique shops and things like that.
Yeah, I'm good for that for about the first 20 minutes. I'm outside looking at the building.
We do that too. I think one of my main thing is I love antique shopping. That's one of my favorite things to do.
Yep. I know that there's I'm going to flip into story mode for a moment, but we had up until 1924, from 1889 to 1924, there was a gentleman in our community that by the name of George Sterrett. He was our mortician. Lived in the Uptown district in a real big, beautiful, fancy house. And the nice thing about it is that house is privately owned. It's now an Airbnb bed and breakfast, but they have all of the original furnishings for inside that home. Well, just 2 weeks ago, I was in our local antique mall downtown and found our mortician's portable embalming machine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I like antiques, but they got to be a little bit twisted.
So is that now in your living room?
Not yet. I have to do a few more tours to afford that one. It's either lay off a tour guide or just do some more tours on my own. But yeah, it'll end up in my collection. So everybody asks what I'm going to use it for, and I keep telling the same thing: a paperweight on my desk. Why not?
I was thinking right at the front door and letting everybody know where they stand.
There you go. Tip your guide well.
Uh-huh.
In fact, leave the tip before you take the tour.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea. Put a little sign out. Gave me an idea. I think that's what I'm going to do.
So see, that works.
Yep.
So
Now
now since you mentioned that you plan on buying that, I have to ask, what is one of the weirdest things that you do own then?
Oh boy, 24 bottles of Dr. Smith's True Croup Cure, bottled in 1886. 50% morphine. It's 50% morphine, 25. I got it wrong. 50% opium, 25% morphine, 25% alcohol.
Oh, wow.
That's a good time.
I should say I have 23 bottles out of the 24. That was actually a find on one of the jobs that I was in.
Oh.
And I think my greatest joy, we were working in an old hotel in Port Angeles doing some remodel work, and I was down in the basement and came across their old lost and found from the 1930s through about the 1950s. There was still a bunch of stuff down in there, and down inside of all that pile of debris, there was a old shipping trunk, and I opened it up, and it was just cram packed of old black and white photographs and reel-to-reel movies, the 8mm movies.
Oh, how cool.
And there had to have been about 1,500 pictures in there. Upon further research, what I found was it was photographs taken from the first United Nations meeting in after World War II.
Wow.
The photographer had to come through Seattle in order to submit all those photographs. Stopped in Port Angeles, and somehow we don't know what happened to him. His name was George. He never checked out of the hotel that they know of. There was no register of him ever checking out, and his stuff was all left behind.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah. Those are all
tour.
part of the tour. So all of those are now in a museum, all those photographs. That kind of hurt. I wanted to keep them, but I also knew that this is something that needs to be out there.
Right. That's awesome.
I always find stuff in these old buildings.
Yeah, those old photographs are cool. When you find real old photographs, that is. A lot of people are deciding to make replicas of them nowadays.
Yep. That's one of the first things I look for when I do go to antique stores is old photographs. I like the old tin types. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, Becky was into that, and then had to point out that
some of them were replicas.
A lot of them are just replicas that were reproduced because people like to buy old photographs.
Yeah, we've got a photographer here in town that does the old tin type style photographs, and he's good. Because you can take one of his pieces and not really be able to tell that it's new. And that's when I learned I need to have a better eye.
Yeah, that's when I told Will that whenever there's photographs, he can go through and decide which ones are real and which ones aren't.
Yeah, they're really good.
Some fake ones, apparently.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Although I did find a full photo album, though. That was cool.
Yeah. That would have been fun.
Yeah. So I love things like that.
I think that's my biggest thing is collecting architectural pieces and photography and headstones.
Headstones?
I don't keep the headstones. I cast them. If I find one that I'm particularly drawn to, I'll make a casting of it.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know what I'll do with them, but they just sit in my garage. Pull them out at Halloween.
Now, see, that's what you do. You bring it all out at Halloween.
Yep. My homeowners association doesn't like the fact that I would keep my entire yard and home Halloween year round.
So would I. I asked Will the other day, because we cleaned out our shed, if we could go ahead and start decorating for Halloween now, and he told me no.
Yeah. I just don't take it down until I'm told to.
It's hard to run a weed whacker around Halloween decorations.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
But
That and it's hard to do when you've got the fog machine out too.
And we got a new Halloween decoration to put out this year. We found an old beat up trunk that I think we're going to shove a skeleton in and have him like halfway out of the trunk.
And wrap it with chains.
And wrap it.
Oh, there you go. We're actually going to try this year to turn one of the Victorian buildings into a haunted house.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's one that my wife and we've been together for 15 years now, but we only got married 2.5 years ago in one of the Victorian buildings here in town that has never been completed. The top 2 floors on the inside are just 2 big empty rooms.
Oh,
The ground floor was retail space, but we were able to negotiate it out to where we could take it over for our wedding. So that's one that we want to turn into a haunted house.
Cool.
Nice. Especially with 2 big open floors.
Yep. Yeah, the building takes up almost half a city block, so I think we could pull off really fun things in that.
Yeah. That'd be really cool.
And it's right over the water.
I've never been one for fake haunted houses, though. Give me a real haunted house and I'll go in a heartbeat, but a fake one? No, I don't do that.
I like doing the fake ones just because I enjoy making people scream.
That's what I like to do.
Yeah. It's good if people are screaming.
Yeah, you like to make me scream.
It's so much fun.
No, it's practice for Halloween, right?
Absolutely.
Here we go.
Yeah, we do investigations of haunted attractions out here, and they're really, truly haunted. One of them is the slaughterhouse, and it's truly haunted. And I can deal with the real ghost any day of the week. But when I'm going through the haunted attraction and seeing the fake stuff, I don't like it.
It's too much in your face at that point, huh?
Yeah.
We have a guy on our team that does all our video and photography.
Right.
And he was filming that night that we investigated Slaughterhouse, and as we're walking through one of the haunted mazes, you can hear Becky just cussing and cursing at every turn because I just walked her right into everything. Gave her no warning or anything.
Yeah, I'm like, you could have at least warned me that this was right there when you walk through the curtain. He would like hurry up and close the curtain so I wouldn't see it until I opened the curtain. Just to be a pain in my butt because he knew it would scare me. And then when we gave tours through there, you know, part of being a tour guide, I had to walk through the haunted attractions. And there was a couple that I had not been through yet. And so I was taking my tour guests through it, and I'm the lead. And you should see me trying to keep my composure as I'm turning the corners and seeing things I've never seen before.
That's pretty
I'm like,
good.
okay, I can't freak out because I'm leading these people behind me.
It's like in October we do a thing. It's a zombie crawl through town, but it's last year we had I think 150 really good looking zombies walking through town. It was actually stopping traffic. They were watching us on the sidewalks, but we got towards the end of the zombie crawl, and one of the gals that was dressed up snuck up behind me, and when I turned, and I know I'm in the middle of a zombie crawl. I know what's going on. I'm leading the pack, but I turned and she was right in my face, and it just scared the snot out of me. And I screamed. I'm like, no, that's not the way it's supposed to work.
Oh yeah, it can be a fun job, that's for sure.
Yeah, I have the last few years. It's just been the time of my life doing this.
Yeah, I think I've been more scared when it comes to seeing the fake stuff and mannequins. I freak myself out so much with mannequins. I know that they're there, but when I'm in the pitch black and I go in somewhere by myself and I see the mannequin, it still manages to freak me out.
See, I'm more afraid of the living than I am of the dead.
Yeah, Oh, definitely. I totally agree with that one. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. Now, I know you run all these tours and I know you do investigations. Do you actually have a paranormal team or do you
Yeah,
just
we have a paranormal team called Dupp Paranormal, digging up the paranormal past.
Oh, okay.
Um, as you can see, it ties into my name, Grim Dupp, my
Right.
wife's name, Gussie Dupp, and all of my tour guides. All of my tour guides are also investigators, so all but one. Um, yeah, and that's one of the things that we do before we add a stop to our tour. What we do is an investigation to see the validity or if we can capture any evidence of the supposed activities that take place in those locations. Um, so that's one thing I can say is all of our stops have been vetted, if not by our paranormal team, but by another one that works out of our community as well. And then all of my tour guides, um, right from the get go, they get trained in investigation before they actually start taking tours. Because one is it shows them that we're serious about what we're doing, and two, it lends to their ability to answer guest questions and actually know what they're talking about when it comes to these different locations. So we
Right.
try and get all of our guides onto investigations as much as possible.
Well, that's very cool. Now, do you just do like the businesses or have you done like residential cases or?
Both we do, because we also do an uptown tour, which is the uptown district of Port Townsend. That's where the major residential is.
Oh, okay.
So I'd say we've got, we've got 4 different tours for the uptown district, but a total of, I don't know, about 80 stops. And we've personally investigated about half of them. The rest of them are either just so steeped in the folklore of our community or have been investigated by other teams. And they've been nice enough to share their information with us.
Nice.
Yeah, that's nice that you have people doing that.
And it took some doing. It took, when we first started announcing that we were going to be doing ghost tours of Port Townsend, there was a lot of people in our community that were like, what? We caught a lot of pushback, including from a couple of the paranormal teams here in town. But over the last few years, we're fully embraced by our community now. So,
Well, that's good. It's always nice to have.
yep, that makes a big difference.
Right. All right. So now we need to ask, what is one of the best stories you have?
The best stories I have, one of the best stories I have. Let me think here. I've got some good ones. Well,
What is at least one that you can share with us?
I think the one that gets that I enjoy telling the most is the story of Abigail. Abigail in 1922 was an uptown girl, 17 years old, and being an uptown girl meant that she had no real reason to come into the downtown portion of Port Townsend because, well, if you lived uptown, you were separated by class. The common phrase at the time was sin flourished at sea level, and the stairs separating uptown from downtown were the stairs to heaven.
Okay.
Now, what she had an advantage of over most of her peers was her father. Her father owned a local business in downtown. It was a furniture store and boarding house upstairs. And the advantage that she had is her father recognized her as somebody that was capable of helping him run the business. He actually sent her back east to become educated in the ways of business and work in the numbers. So when she returned to Port Townsend after her education, she started helping father out in the shop. But in doing so, she comes into contact with that unsavory group, the riffraff that she's supposed to be avoiding. One of those riffraffs was a sailor by the name of Brian that came into town one day. His job was to do nothing more than to sign off on a load of furniture that was destined for Alaska. But upon walking through the door, Abigail must have been quite the sight to behold because he immediately quit his job and took a room up in the boarding house. It's said that he spent about 6 months trying to convince her that a relationship was a good thing to have. And eventually she did succumb to his worldly ways and a relationship did ensue, but it was a relationship that they had to keep quiet. because she was an uptown girl and he was not an uptown kind of guy. Nobody would really say much, and they'd be seen together in the furniture store because that's where she worked and he lived upstairs. But the rumors did start to fly when they would be seen throughout town together. And one evening, her father was in one of the downtown drinking establishments having a drink with a friend when his buddy nudged him in the ribs with his elbow and says, "Hey, did you see your daughter this evening? She's up on the staircase, sitting down on a bench, holding hands with that sailor, Brian." Well, that's not what Daddy wanted to hear. Reputation is everything. And to preserve her reputation, he left the bar, went running up the flight of stairs to the uptown district. And sure enough, he did find Abigail and Brian sitting on a bench, holding hands. He grabbed Abigail by the arm and dragged her up to the top of the hill and sent her home and came back down to have a conversation with Brian. We don't know the words that were exchanged that day, but I promise you they weren't pleasant, because that conversation turned into a pushing match. And that pushing match turned into a fight. After about 5 minutes of duking it out, both men realized they were fairly evenly matched in that endeavor, weren't making any real progress in the fight, so it was decided then to handle it in a more gentlemanly fashion. This was back in the days when two men wanted to settle a dispute and didn't want to use their fists. They would just draw guns. And that's exactly what they did. They stepped back from one another, pulled their guns out, aimed and fired. And fortunately for both men, they were terrible aims and they missed one another. But they didn't miss Abigail, who was standing at the top of the hill watching the whole scene unfold. One of the bullets actually pierced her in the throat and it dropped her to the ground, and she rolled down the hillside about 15, 20 feet and dies at her father's feet. Both men were arrested for that crime and taken to jail. And during the course of the trial, the judge, for whatever reason, decided, well, this was not an intentional homicide. This was just a dispute between two men that decided to handle it in a more gentlemanly fashion. And that's not illegal. So in the end, he had to let both men go. But he did ask, which one of you fired the shot that killed Abigail? And neither man would actually confess to the crime or roll over on the other. It was a secret that they both took to their grave. So to this day, we don't know which one actually killed Abigail. Is it Brian, her lover, or her father? We'd have some clues, though, that point to who may have been the one to kill Abigail. And that's based on what happened after the trial. You see,
Uh-oh, did we lose you? I think we lost him.
That's not cool.
No, and that was a really interesting story. That's not cool.
You need to get him back.
I don't know what happened there. It shows he's still there. Oh, he just dropped out. Oh, no. Let's see if we can bring him back on. Maybe. What in the world is going on here? Let's try this. Hold on, everyone. I know we're on our edge of our seats.
Yeah, that was not cool.
No, that is so not cool. Why is this not letting me re-add him? Uh-oh. What is going on?
You tell me. You piss off Skype again?
I don't know. Maybe I did.
I think we're going to have to find a better system.
I don't know, but that is so sad. I was on the edge of my seat. And it's not letting me bring him back on.
Can you just go to that?
I tried. Skype, why do you have to be such a pain in the butt? I have no clue what happened. And I apologize, everyone, because for some reason it is not letting us get him back on. We have to complain.
That's not cool.
No. And it's not showing him anywhere there.
Probably because he's over there.
I know, but look, it's not letting me. Will's my witness. It is not letting me re-add him. I'm going to let Will try to fool with this and see if he can get it to work. Because that is not cool. No fun. So everyone, be patient. But I don't think it's going to work. We're trying.
We're trying.
And it's just not letting us. So we apologize. We'll have to finish that story.
Somehow, some way.
Yeah, how sad. Yeah, you don't want to push that one because then we'll disconnect. So, let's see here now. We're going to try to get him back on. Hold on. So, we're going to see if our producer can possibly bring him back on since we can't. But that is so sad.
That's not cool at all.
No.
You need to stop touching buttons.
I didn't even touch anything. That's the sad part.
You got to point the blame somewhere.
It's Skype. We will blame Skype. We always blame Skype. No wonder Skype hates me.
Blame them for everything.
I know. Well, we're wrapping up the show early tonight anyway, but what in the world was that?
That was the dogs.
Okay, we got a really loud noise from our dogs, apparently. But yeah, unfortunately, now I want to know, because he says that they have an idea of who did it.
Yeah.
Was it the father or the boyfriend?
Well, who's standing downhill?
I don't know.
That's the thing.
I know, but now I want to know the answer. I'm going to have to, if we can't get him back on, I'm going to have to ask him via Facebook and share it all with you next week, because I know I want to know now.
Well, I think we all want to know.
I hope so.
Because that's like watching a movie and not seeing the ending.
I know, like at the last minute, all electricity goes out and you don't get to see the ending. And then you're going, oh, what do I do? And that sucks.
Watch it again.
Watch it again. Oh my goodness. Yeah, not cool. But sorry about that, folks. I have no clue what happened. As I said, we will blame Skype because Skype is very popular for causing us issues.
Or blame Dave. He's not here.
Or we can blame Dave. Yes, Dave causes a lot of issues, so we'll blame Dave. And he can't stand up for himself, so it's all perfect, right?
Yep.
It's all perfect. But anyway, all right, so I guess we'll just do our thing then. And if by chance he pops back on in the next 10 minutes, great. If not, we'll just wrap up the show in 10 minutes and be back next week then, apparently.
Apparently so.
Apparently so. But, yeah, so let's see. Next week, we're going across the seas.
The pond.
The pond.
Across the pond.
Our guest is from Scotland. So, a few things I'm looking forward to, because Scotland has a lot of haunted history. Lots. And apparently, my family's from Scotland. So that's cool.
One of these days you'll figure out if that's correct or not.
I don't know. I was told that we were from Ireland, and then I was told we were from Scotland. I'm kind of lost. We're somewhere in between, apparently. Scottish, Irish. I'm one of those. I don't know. I've been told both. I'm one of them. I just don't know which. Maybe I'm both.
Maybe your family's just lost in general.
I don't know. I was told McKitty was an Irish name for the longest time, and then I was told, no, you were told wrong, it's Scottish. So, I don't know. If anyone knows what McKitty comes from, there we know. But, yeah. But no matter what, though, Scotland, Ireland, all that area has always interested me. Very old buildings over there. They got, like, castles over there.
Yes, they do.
They got castles.
They got goats and sheep, too.
Goats. We have goats and sheep here, too. God. Act like we're, like, don't have that stuff. but castles, like big, huge castles. And they like get to like investigate and go in them. That is awesome.
Handle the spiders.
Ew. Spiders? No.
Oh, you might be in trouble then.
I don't want spiders. Ugh. No spiders. No spiders.
Lots of spiders.
No. Why do they have to have spiders? Just because there's castles?
They're old.
So that doesn't mean they have to have spiders. You can have an old building without having bugs.
Nah, not happening.
Yes. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to like talking about the old buildings there and all the haunted history there, because I've always had an interest in that. And the accent. They're going to have like an accent.
Would you be disappointed if they didn't?
Oh, I'm sure they do.
What happens if he gets on and it sounds just like you and me?
I don't know. But, you know, I'm sure that they have, you know, some type of accent. I mean, they've got to, right?
Well, they're supposed to.
But yeah, that's going to be really fun. I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be cool and awesome. And we've never had anyone on the show before from across the seas. So that's going to be really cool. And I'm doing all this clicking because we got all this stuff. We lost him. We can't get him back. I don't know where he went.
Can't add him back in now that he's off the call list.
No. I can't do anything right now. So, I don't know. Hopefully he didn't get shot.
Well,
Hopefully the boyfriend or the father didn't shoot him.
Maybe they just didn't want their secret being told.
Maybe that's it. Maybe the ghost got in the way and said, nope, you are not telling our secret.
That could very well be.
It could be. You never know. Just like I swear to you last week, I had some ghosts telling me, you ain't doing nothing.
Yeah, and it was going to be a good show.
All I know is, like, last week, everything acted up on us.
Well, that was supposed to be your girl show, too.
Yeah, where I had girl power.
Maybe that was the world saying you don't need girl power.
I don't need girl power. I'm to put up with men picking on me.
Yep.
No, that's okay. I pick back, though, so.
Oh.
No, I don't.
You're not good at it.
I'm not good at it. I feel the love. I feel the love. But anyway, I guess we're going to be wrapping this up in about 5 minutes. So we apologize for our guest. I will try to find out the end of that story and share it with all of you who did it. If it was the boyfriend or the father.
It was the butler.
It was the butler. The butler did it.
With a candlestick.
In the library?
No, in the kitchen.
In the kitchen. Oh my goodness. I don't think I ever played that game. You know that? That's the sad part. I don't think I've ever played that game.
I don't think anybody's ever actually finished the game.
No. There's a way to finish it? What?
Yeah. If you solve all the clues.
Alrighty. So next week, like I said, we have our guest from Scotland. And then we're booked all the way up through October. And then in October, we're going to do something special on Mysteries Explained. And we're going to do some live shows. So we are actually going to go on location and do the show live there. So what we need to figure out is if we're being told it's possible for us to go to where people can actually see us. That's going to be scary.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So people will actually see us as we're doing the show. If not, they can at least hear us live at the location. But the hope is to actually be able to be seen and like have people see the locations too. And of course, all the locations we're going to be going to are going to be haunted. We already have one confirmed, and we're going to be working on some others for the month of October. It's kind of like the Halloween special of Mysteries Explained. So, and for our guest that was on tonight, if you want to check him out, he does have Twisted History Tours.
Yes.
So you can check him out.
You can go to twistedhistorytours.com and check them out there.
Yeah.
Or you can go to airbnb.com, go to Townsend, Washington, and book a hotel and a tour.
Yeah. Since he wasn't able to give that information, we gave it for him. So we want to thank him for being on the show tonight, and y'all need to check out twistedhistorytours.com and go on one of his tours and find out the ending of that story. There we go.
There you are.
That's what y'all can do. And while you're on the website looking this up, make sure you're checking out TucsonGhostTour.com. That's our website. And see all of our events coming up. Like I said, we have Spirits with Spirits in October. Center Stage is coming out here in May. We're going to be doing some other stuff. So just stay tuned, because anything we do, of course, we will announce it to you all and fill you in. Dave should be back next week. So we'll pick on him when he's able to defend himself next week. Right?
Well, if he's capable of defending himself.
If he's capable.
He usually just lays there and takes it.
Well, you know. To each their own, I guess. Well, honey, is there anything you want to say before we wrap it up tonight?
Well, don't let the ghost get you, and we'll see.
Is that what happened to you?
No. A frying pan at the back of the head is what happened to me.
That is so not true. So not true.
Cast iron, it freaking hurts people, let me tell you. All she had to do is make me a pot of coffee. That's all she had to do.
Oh, my God. I did not do that.
But tune in next week. Check out all the other Voices Carry Network programs. And
Yep, Tuesday through Friday. Every night at 8 p.m. Eastern.
you won't be disappointed.
Yeah.
Unless you're... Or let me rephrase it. Unless their guest happens to be cut off by the spirits too.
Yeah, who knows, you know. Never know, never know. But I want to let everyone know that I did not hit Will with a frying pan.
That's only because she doesn't want the legal repercussions of what happens when you hit somebody with a frying pan.
I do not make him coffee, though. I admit that, because I don't drink coffee, so I know my coffee would suck if I were to make coffee.
All she has to do is ask how to make it.
No.
And I'll teach her.
No.
And then she could be a loving wife.
Oh, I'm not a loving wife?
10 years, no coffee.
Yeah, I'm going to go get that cast iron frying pan now.
How about this? Next 10 years, no breakfast in bed for you.
Hey. I don't do breakfast for you either, though. I don't cook eggs. I'm not...
See,
I don't
right
do
there,
breakfast very well.
You're telling people you're a bad wife.
I'm not a bad wife. I admit when I
no.
can't do something.
No cooking, no coffee.
Yeah, okay, honey. We're going to wrap this up. But I'm going to get that cast iron frying pan now.
All right, we'll see y'all next week, people.
Give y'all a couple more staples in your head. But anyway, thank you all for tuning in tonight. We appreciate you listening and putting up with us. And we'll be back next week, hopefully for the full time, the full 2 hours. Hopefully Will won't have any concussion or headache next week like he does tonight.
I'll just hide the frying pan in the kitchen. She'll never find it there.
He fell out of a coach, okay, working. It's job related. It's not me. But until next week, y'all, remember, you're never truly alone. Thank you. Good night.